Hello and herzlich willkommen zum Auf Die Fresse, normally the WXW review podcast in English. I'm Ian Hamilton, joined by Mike Kilby. And Mike, here for a special episode. Guess one which caught us all by surprise this past Saturday. The news with Absolute Andy passing away this past Thursday, at the age of 40. Said on Twitter, tons of tributes from fans and wrestlers alike, and guy went by so many names: to Adler, der VeterAAn, Mr. 100%, die Rohrzange aus Franken Der VeterAAn. Base caught everyone completely off guard, just out of the blue.
Yeah, I think this is an episode. I think Ringfush, obviously our dear friends, the Germans, in the German podcast had seen. They kind of said this is the podcast that we never wanted to record. It's it was a complete an utter shock. It was kind of still, I think, to this moment, I kind of can't believe it. I never expected to be recording a podcast like this about such a key star in the history of WXW. I think I was kind of hoped that, well, obviously it would have come eventually, but
Just not this soon.
our podcast probably would have fizzled out by the point where we get this sort of thing happening, as they do sometimes. But it's not. It was a horrible thing to sort of wake up to, and but it's been a very, very poignant last few days. It's been sort of lovely, and even if I've maybe been poking it a little bit on Twitter, but it's been lovely sort of seeing. It's honestly it's astounding that there's genuinely, I've never heard a single bad word said about a person.
Yeah.
And Andy is, I think, is one of these people you just never heard a single person who had a problem with him, had a bad word to say about him. Not even like a fan, or who maybe said, oh, so and so said that he was a dick to him. Like, it was never. There's not a single person that I've ever come across who has had anything but love, admiration, and just sheer joy in a wrestler existing more than Absolute Andy. And I think it's I just can't. I can't fathom it's happened.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's just over 2 years, 3 years ago, sorry, when Carsten Beck passed, and I did a piece on the on Backbody Drop earlier this week. The irony being, the first show back with fans, Andy was the guest host. That opened with the 10-bell salute, and for Carsten Beck. Next WXW show, next month, the 23rd anniversary show, unfortunately, can be the same thing. You'd not, unless something of course horribly awry. But yeah, I mean, with Andy, I woke up Saturday morning, got the saw the tweet, same as everyone else, and yeah, going through and you see, you just see the message, and it's like, what's going on? What's going on? Like, I mean, because for me, on Twitch, we see the notifications. First thing you see, you'll see the image. It's like, oh, it's a picture of Andy. Oh, it's his birthday, and then you load the image. Like, 1983. Wait, they don't put the year. Oh no, you didn't need to hit translate to see what had happened.
Well, yeah, I'd sort of woken up to your message, and it was just, and I just saying, it happened, and I was just like, what are you talking about? I thought it was I thought you was cracking a joke about, like, a poor joke about something, like he'd done something bad or something,
He's gone to work for Progress none of us watch, or a promotion none of us watch, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I thought you were sort of pulling me leg at first, and then I just was just like, honestly, it felt. I don't think I've genuinely ever had a. I say, and Andy wasn't my friend, or he wasn't somebody who I would say I had probably more than a handful of interactions with, like, sort of on a personal level. But in terms of sort of the parasocial fan and artist sort of thing, I just generally don't think I've ever been hit by somebody's passing in the same way that I have been hit by this. It's a completely new sensation for me.
Same. I mean, I know,
Yeah.
we're not going to do like a warts and all career retrospective, but
No.
I know one of the big things, especially towards the end of his career, was, oh, he's the old guy. The joke was he's the dad. He doesn't know how to use, the whole thing with JAA was, oh, he doesn't know how to use FaceTime. Like, he's prodding his phone, like, I mean, you retweet some of the stuff, like, oh, when your dad takes a selfie. There's one, actually looking at now, screenshot took from Broken Rules, 2019. Oh, your dad's taking selfies again. And then he replied by posting the actual photo, which, he knew the kind of thing that, not the jives, but, the kind of, the play of
He
was
was in on
making
the
on the
joke.
character.
He was
Yeah,
in. He was in on the joke, and there was a if I may post it again, but there was an area, there was a thing I once had, and it was a back when we had Twitter moments, and it was basically a collection of all the funny tweets that we say the Anglosphere sort of made about Absolute Andy,
I'm
and
looking through some of them now, and
yeah,
they're an
and you're looking at them
absolute
now,
delight.
and there's the picture of him with this piece of paper, and it's like your dad's Volvo's passed its MOT, and he's delighted, or there's a picture of him with saying that with Francis Caspin and Jay Skillett, and he's saying he's heard you talk about status quo, and he thinks you wishes you as his son instead, things like that, um, and but the thing is, I was aware that he did find it hilarious, which was which was good, and it was the we kind of do sort of say is we do the joke of is that he's kind of everybody's dad in wrestling. It's he kind of went, you kind of he was he was some he had his kids as well, and he was a family man, and he'd been doing this for
Twenty
over
years, pretty
20,
much.
nearly 20 years, and it's astonishing sort of, and the tentacles that the Absolute Andy has kind of had on so many huge stars in the world wrestling worlds, major, the best wrestlers in the world currently. They've all come in contact with, let's face it, a niche in terms of the global scale, but a very niche German wrestler who I think many people consider maybe a bit of a comedy guy.
I
So
mean, going back to what I was saying before, like, not make about us, but, the whole thing, oh, he's the dad, he's old. I saw the, the, the image where somebody posts, like, I've looked on Wikipedia. He's 2 years younger than me. It's like, I've been calling this fella old. I'm older than him. But going through, like, I mean, to like somebody, retweet pretty much everything from, people in the wrestling world, who he'd come in touch with. Like, you look at names. I'm not going to go for all of them. Obviously, Shiggy, Norman House. He was over in, finishing a tour in Canada. When he got the news. Chris Hero.
Zero, Speedball,
Mike Bailey, of course,
uh,
Ilya Dragunov.
Tanahashi.
Okay, so the actually have since posted this. That Tanahashi tweet, um, he put like the match graphic and the sharpshooter in the match, I think it was. I did a review of that a couple of years back, and you gave me the tip off when the match was on Vimeo. And I nothing. Where the hell has he gotten this image from? So I searched Absolute Andy Hiroshi Tanahashi. It's a screenshot I put on the website years ago. So at some point he's either gone through Google, but I mean, obviously we've put the match up now, and we've put like 6 or 7 matches up from Andy's career, which from in
Yeah.
playlist you don't need a Wrestling Now subscription. Strongly suggest go through and see if there's some absolute crackers in there. And Matt's just scratching himself, but yeah, I mean, just going through the names, and said Ilya, obviously Rotation, who worked with a lot, on show times and what have you. Um, Ilya said Shah
Balter,
Samuels,
yeah.
Tanahashi, Shingo Takagi. They had 2 matches back in the day. Um, it's just Thumbtack Jack, Anthony Henry, Alexander James, Killer Kelly, and we both at Field House and Open Bowling.
Yeah.
And no, I mean, I think I might have been main general probably a couple of lanes up from them, and it was dark. It's it's like there. Now I knew if it had like special never bowling shirts done. Kelly put a picture up on was it the Saturday night with the bowling shirts. It broke me.
Yeah.
Like just you get oh no, was it when on hard pass Jeff Jouton with a lot of acquaintances and wrestling with very few friends, and you see people pass through the locker rooms all the time, they come and go, but for something like that where because I remember during the I don't know how much this is behind the curtain when they were getting the names for Ropehouse and Open Bowling. It was that whole moment. Andy wants to be a part of it. He wants to pick his own part, and it was like okay, strange because we had the obviously the lottery drawing. And there was a Dragon and Yearn did. The wrestler joined in. Like okay, not nobody went. Oh no, how dare he's too good to be with the rest of us. But the fact that he'd even take part with someone who clearly he had loved and respected, and that's the kind of friendship they had. And Kelly was far from the only one who had that kind of respect from it, as we've seen in the days that followed.
And I think Andy had a sort of, at least in the period when it was people like Kelly, when it people like Tony, Melanie, he did actually have quite a lot of hand in sort of he I was aware that he kind of did not agent the women's matches, but he basically had a very, very heavy sort of oversee on these matches.
Yeah.
To the sort of like he would be the one who would sort of go, right, this stuff isn't working, but this stuff is great, and he would sort of go through. And I think that's probably why people like Melly, one of the reasons why I think Melly and Kelly, and obviously Tony Storm as well did a tribute as well. They all were, as everybody else, were kind of also devastated by it.
Of the amazing, spectacular, invigorating, monumental, wonderful in history, absolute, Andy experience featuring MG. I got a feel I've mucked that title, but it's been possible. Yeah, it's just like going through. Obviously, if you want like the cliff notes of his career, WXW said he's the only person who's won every single title he could have won in WXW. The original World Heavyweight title, the Unified title, the tag titles 5 times with 4 different partners, which you're up there for Hubbard Trisk in terms of that kind of wrestling. Of course, last off the Shotgun Belt, Wrestling Cult, German Stampede Wrestling, German Wrestling Promotion titles there. It's like, you don't stay in wrestling, especially in such an insular sense, maybe not the right word, but especially such a close knit community like Europe and German wrestling in particular for 20 years. One, if you're not good. Two, if you're not versatile. I mean, like I jumped into WXW 2016 just after WXW now started.
Yeah, roughly.
So he would have been I don't say the of a white meat babyface, but he was the the veteran working with Mario Solani, A4 starting. And then you've gone from Matt to turning on Morrison. We'll touch on not Matt because that was my first festival weekend, and how the air just completely evaporated the room with just one super kick. You had that. You then came in with the cocky, arrogant veteran. That I dare say definitely in terms of eyeballs for career on. And then at the end, the wacky, let's say the father figure that everyone was poked fun. He was in on the joke. Like, just in the space of 4 or 5 years, just the range then of course during the pandemic era, the fill-in, assistant sporting director, the 40 figure, and then stepping down from that, then what late 2021 when he came back to get one last one over Norman Harris, win the shotgun title before injury and untimely passing.
Yeah, I think the big sort of run he had with the with the World Championship in that thing. I think that's probably everybody's fondest sort of period. I can't remember exactly who said it, but it was it was a contemporary opinion, and I remember somebody saying, Absolute Andy's title run was like if Triple H's Reign of Terror was good, and like I kind of can't sort of go beyond that. really. And he was just, as I say, he was such a versatile wrestler. And back when, let's say, the shoots of the boom period were sort of starting to sprout, when we had people like Junior, we had people like Mac and Dreisker and Walter really sort of coming into his thing. He was, as I say, we say the veteran, but you know, I can't remember who said it, but they basically said like he was like a Swiss Army knife. He could kind of get into any situation. And if you have a wrestler like that, he's effectively, having somebody who's, let's say, 2014, 15, who's wrestling for nearly 15 years. Having somebody like that is just such an asset for a company, and I think his input into the greatest period that the company had, the golden generation of WXW, as I sort of called it the other day. His input into that period, it just can't be overstated. I say he's a true great of the European scene, and I think it's kind of the job of, I think, people like us, all the German journalists. I feel like we have to maybe evangelize to people who don't know him, who weren't so familiar with him, because he's he's getting the flowers now, which he completely deserves. And as to say, it was yeah, it's that title run. I say some of the funniest promos, but then he could switch. And I say this. Let's face it, he's also doing this with a language barrier.
Yes.
The people who love that thing, it's a lot of people who are English speakers, not German speakers, not native German speakers anyway. But he had an uncanny ability to sort of switch from the funniest things you've ever heard to absolute seriousness. There's the promo that he had. Matthew posted it. The promo that he
For
had
Carrot 2019.
for Carrot 2019, and it's somebody in the comments says this is one of the best promos I've ever seen in my life. So it's like it's I can't I don't know, without saying he's great 150 times. I just don't know what else to sort of say, really.
In fact that neither of us speak but of German. The fact that those promos, like that one for Coward wasn't the only one. Like in the dying days of Shotgun, he was the highlight. For those promos,
absolutely was.
You hung on his every word. And even it was a fable, it was a story, but even the story itself had nothing. Had a story about peasants and duck hunting. He was able to weave that into his upcoming opponent, and it wasn't like he was stretching. It was you hung on his every word. Okay, if you read the subtitles, you waited and you believed every single word. Like it wasn't like he was telling a story and half laugh and joke. And by the way, I'm facing Zack Sabre Jr. on Sunday.
Is one of the best matches over one of the best sort of Sabre or Andy matches, I think, of all. It's such a great match, that one in Hamburg.
There's again, because I've been watching a lot of Andy stuff on YouTube. YouTube's starting to throw up stuff which hasn't been coming up in search. Was what I found this morning. Build up to that fan weekend, 2018, and I'm not going to play it because sound in, but we'll put this in the show notes. And it's literally 90 seconds, and he's there with he's saying with Barris Iden, now cameraman for WXW. Zack Sabre Jr., you're next. I'll ice you, you damn wimp. Which maybe some creative liberty on the subtitles, but basically taking Barris and using him as a proxy for Sabre, taking him down, absolutely schooling him. To the point that Sebastian Holmichel had to come and break him up, and he got knocked about as well. In the space of 90 seconds, absolutely established. If you knew nothing about this promotion, about these wrestlers and this company, you got the arrogant champion because he's got the belt on the shoulder, taken clearly, I would say untrained, but not experienced wrestler in, make an example of him, then I've made my point and leave, that kind of thing. And just stuff like that, 90 seconds, and you see wrestlers now
90 second, one take.
One take, no edits. You say stuff, on TV wrestling where it's like, guys, you might want to trim this up a bit. Okay, it's live, but even pre-tape Dragon, like it's just such a professional. I mean, in fact, I could say, wrap this up. But the fact that to the point where he was so mean, like that thread of collection tweets you mentioned, the amount of screenshots that littered through through statements and what I mean. The one thing I think everyone will know, and I sure as hell don't know what the background is. The toilet time. I mean, it was about a week before he passed. Rex tweeted Jacob Crane, the same door, the same kind of pose. It's like that was part of Andy's entrance video, and that became a meme for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, God knows what's happening. People know I shoes held on, but the fact that something like that could easily have been, oh no, now everyone's doing it, and that's the only thing it became known for. But it's so professional that that was putting up part of his character, part of the act. And say one last thing, like WXW's biggest show pretty much of all time was Carrot 2019.
Yeah.
Andy against Bobby Guns. Yeah, he didn't win. You could argue Bobby Guns, his rise was, what, maybe what drew that. The fact that, you look at Andy was the champion going into that. Every storyline like this needs two people. I mean, you had that Villia stuff, winning the title then in Hamburg, but I was also fortunate to be, there in front row for.
Yeah.
That the, was it the Tag League 2018 was meant to be a three-way, Ilya, Andy, Bobby, Andy hurt the shoulders. They did the interim title and unified in Hamburg through. Like that match, bell to bell was less than 10 minutes, which completely threw me because there was a whole lot of stuff before the bell. It was just so intense, and I'm not just talking about Andy, breaking the arse of a chair over Ilya's head. In fact, that you have stuff like that where it built to such a point through the needling, through the prime matches where that was significant. Yeah, we're not going to talk about or too much about what kept going with the Nick Hines stuff. It came my recommendations as well. But they had the Ilya thing, the blow off and then the one final, that's it, we're done in the Kavik Schlacht. Then the Bobby Gunn stuff, and then okay, Andy could have just disappeared and faded away, but pretty much reinvented himself after that. And then had the final run, or final runs, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I say you've got WXW, they uploaded last was it 2016's worth of stuff on WXW now. You've got 5-6 years of his career on there. Hell of a lot of material, and that's if you're just going for bell to bell stuff. Yeah.
So just going on from what you said, sort of you're saying about Character 29, I said it's an undeniable fact, and I says what you just basically said is that in the period when WXW was at its absolute most popular, at the biggest show of its history, possibly, I mean, they may do bigger again, but let's face it, at that up until now, the biggest show in its history, at its most popular time period, when they had people like Ilya, they had people like Walter, they had people, there are lots of people who are gone on to vastly bigger things since. Absolute Andy was the champion going into the main event of the biggest show that they've ever put on.
Yeah.
And I think that's all you can really say, really.
Yeah. And I guess one thing in closing without being too soppy, someone can be gone as long as the new memories they never are gone. And luckily for all of us, a lot of this stuff is on tape, is still available. And Andy, thanks for memories. Ruhe in Frieden, I guess as the Germans say, and all the best. And yeah, thanks for memories, Andy.
Cheers.